Welcome back to Mostly Thriving.
We're to the world that may look like we're thriving, but really we're just mostly thriving.
We have a good episode planned for you today.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about it. I've been excited about it. It's been a little bit in the works.
Yeah.
But right before you came in here, you were like, I'm really excited for this episode today, which was maybe the reassurance that I needed. This is a good topic.
Well, this is one of the topics that TJ's been on a journey over the last
6 months?
I would say 6 months, yeah. And when we started the thought of Mostly Thriving and things we wanted to talk about, these were the types of topics that he was like, these are the things that people need to talk about and be more open about and vocal and stuff. And so I'm going to let you give a little synopsis of where this came from. And then we also want to get into the nitty gritty of holidays with divorced families and just all of that. And just how does anybody actually thrive at the holidays?
Yeah. When we're starting the podcast, I think it goes back to similar to when you're starting a business, you're kind of thinking, what is the need that I'm going to fulfill? What does society need? And one of the things that was heavy on, that I didn't realize was heavy on my heart or in my mind or consuming my thought, is this whole idea of men lacking fellowship, which then kind of put me into this spiral of just this, and maybe people have heard of this, maybe people have not, but hopefully if you haven't, we're going to kind of open your eyes to this, of the lonely man crisis that's going on right now, and how it's seriously impacting society as a whole. But I think first, the most relevant thing in our life, not that that's not relevant, but the most pressing issue that we're experiencing is we woke up, I don't know what morning it was, maybe Sunday or Monday, and there was snow on the ground. And then it hit me that the holidays are here.
They are here. It's almost mid-November. This is craziness.
Yeah, and for Michigan people, it's like the snow hits the ground, and that means the ball is rolling, the snowball is snowballing.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody starts scurrying, trying to figure out Thanksgiving plans, which then makes you think of Christmas plans, which makes you think of New Year's plans. And then for me, I'm like, what is my word for next year? And it's just like, whoa, planning mode is going. And I wasn't even really realizing that summer and fall had been over. And so we thought, a couple people were asking us just how do we handle Christmas with, the holidays in general,
yeah.
Thanksgiving, with one being married. We have our little immediate family, but then also we have my parents, and then Amanda's parents are divorced and remarried. They then have stepchildren, and it's just a very, tangled mess of trying to plan lives and getting together. And so just kind of a few tips and tricks that we do that it's been pretty successful for us.
I think too, it's easy to get consumed by plans for the holidays and Christmas lists and cooking lists and where do we need to be when, and it's the season already moves so fast that you never really even enjoy it. You come up for air in January and you're like, what the heck, I missed all the Christmas joy and all of that. And so I thought, before we get into what we do, explain what did Christmas look like for you growing up? What did you guys do as a family? What did that look like?
Yeah, so my family always went down to Florida for Christmas, and my grandparents always were there, and it was never even I didn't know Christmas here in the snow until I met you, and obviously that's a more normal thing to stay home for Christmas. I don't think the norm is to travel across the country or,
Well, your grandparents have a place there.
Right, and so that was just our normal. But all the family went, and so it was so simple. It was just, here's where everybody's going. See
including
you there.
Your aunts, your cousins.
Yeah.
When he says everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah, with the exception, my uncle and his wife didn't go, but they had family that or his in-laws were in Michigan, and so that complicated things a bit for them. But my uncle's parents on my mom's side, they also were they just happened to be in the same city as my parents or my grandparents. And so my cousin's grandparents both sides of their grandparents were in Florida, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And my dad's parents were no longer alive. So we didn't have to go see them. It was just, we go to Florida, and it's so simple and so not complex. Meet you in Florida at the condo. Yep. See you there a couple days before Christmas, stay for a few days after, always. And then I met you guys, and this isn't a slam to your family. I think it's just more of this is the normal of, no, we stay home, we try and see everybody. And when you say everybody, there's a lot of family to get together. And now, and I think probably for you when you were growing up, it was pretty simple.
Well, so my parents got divorced when I was in middle school, and all like through when I was little, we would always do my dad's side of the family on Christmas Eve, and we would all go there with my aunts and uncles and cousins and all that. And then Christmas Day was with my mom. Like, we would wake up and do Santa, and then we would go over to my mom's side of the family. And so then after my parents got divorced, they kept that same tradition. And so we would just go with my dad then on the, Christmas Eve, and then we would go with my mom on Christmas Day. So that like really didn't change. But then I feel like as people get older and like my cousins started getting married and having kids, like it just complicates things so much in the best way. Like everyone should have their own families, but it kind of broke off, I think like around COVID time, where then like instead of all of us getting together, because now every uncle that I have has their own grandkids, it's like all these other little families are blossoming out.
Yeah, and that all happened like right around COVID too.
Yeah, and so everybody, which just like life's, that's how it works. Right. And like it, we all kind of now do our own thing, and we do a separate Christmas that's like, a different day or in January or whatever, to just like get everybody's schedules. But the thing that I think is interesting for you that I actually am just now putting together is that you never had to split Christmases, not because your parents weren't divorced, but your dad's side of the family isn't from Michigan. So even if you guys did stay home, like they're all in St. Louis. So normally people are splitting time between like their mom's side and their dad's side. But then when you're divorced, now you've got 4 sets of families. Like you only had one. You never even had to split between like your mom's side and your dad's side. I just am now putting that together. So that had to be a lot for you to go from 1 Christmas to 4 Christmases when we got married.
Yeah, I mean, we did do Christmas with my dad's family, my cousins in St. Louis, but we always did it around Thanksgiving.
I was going to say, it never was at Christmas, though.
It was always known that we go to Florida for Christmas, which was fine. St. Louis, not exactly a destination town for Christmas, but we would go if that was a thing, but it never really was a thing. But we would always go to St. Louis area for Thanksgiving. And so you would knock out Thanksgiving and Christmas there. We didn't really do a Thanksgiving here. I'm not really sure why that was the case. It just was never the case. And then it was Florida for Christmas, and that it was so simple, and it was just generally accepted. And then, yeah, it was a little bit of a change when it was a change for me too, to go. So I feel like had so many intentional conversations before we got married of what does married life look like when we have kids? What do we want that to look like? And I feel like one of the things that we do really well is we decide what works for us before we let other people in to influence our decision. Like if we're trying to make a decision on something, we decide this is what I think works. And then we bring that to our families and say, we're available X, Y, and Z. Instead of, I feel like there's a pressure on young families where it's like you're still obviously want to make your parents happy and be there with your family and do all of those things. But you're also juggling now someone else's families that are equally as important, and it just adds this dynamic of, I already had, a bunch of different Christmases to factor in. And now we have your family's Christmases factoring in. There's this destination piece in yours. Like it just adds a lot of layers. And so I think it was important for us to kind of set that, I don't even want to use the word boundary because it's not a boundary, but we had to set what that looked like for us so that we could also stay sane. Yeah, and I think that we defined that right out of the gates. You even came down to Florida, I think, when we were engaged or when we were dating. One of those years, you came down to Florida and experienced it. So it's not like Amanda's going to Florida and is sitting there really missing her experience with her family. She enjoys Florida too.
Oh, yeah.
We miss the time, and even when we go down to Florida, we still get together with your family and make it a point. And so, I think, and I don't want it to seem like it's this negative thing, and boundaries, I agree, it sounds like a harsh word, but it kind of is that, of just, here's what works for us, and we're having to take care of your happiness, my happiness, your family's happiness, and my family's happiness, all in the matter of 2 months. And at the end of the day, I think what we walked away from after talking to this is that we need to choose grace over guilt when we talk about these things. As soon as we start putting guilt into people's minds, you're feeling guilty because I'm not making it to this Christmas party this year, or I have this commitment on the day that the family chose. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel guilty. You have to prioritize your commitment because you committed to that. I think that is a great thing of character right there, and going, I already committed to this thing. I may actually want to be at my family's thing more than that, but I committed to this, so I'm sticking to it. And guess what? We'll catch you next Christmas, or we'll catch you at Thanksgiving. We're going to see each other. And so, yeah, you try to prioritize it, but at the same time, keeping the peace of a guilt-free holiday is much better when, choosing to have that guilt and trying to achieve this picture-perfect Christmas holiday where everybody's together, gathered around the tree. Truthfully, that just isn't realistic. And if we set out with an unrealistic expectation of everybody will show up on the same day at the same time and bring gifts and be smiling,
right,
boy, we are setting ourselves up for failure, especially when then you add in the little ones to the picture of, I think we also talked about one thing as parents of young children now is that, not saying that you must prioritize us, but grandparents and brothers and sisters, siblings without kids, try to put yourself in the shoes of the people who are really in the whole trenches of new parenthood, managing nap times, managing meal times, managing the highs and lows of gifts that the kids get or that they didn't get, and how to, learning their emotions and how to guide the young children through this, and give the parents of young children grace through the holiday seasons. Yeah,
I think it's important too that it's hard when, and this happens a lot in more ways than just holidays, but the world influences us so much, and with all the Hallmark movies and beautiful Christmases where it's everybody's home together for the whole week and everybody's, it's I don't believe that it's like that for anybody. There's way too many things to be juggling. There can be moments that feel like that, but the whole idea of this perfect, Christmas, come home, all of that, even when I think about, I'm a young parent, and when my kids are older, I want them to come back for the holidays. But I also, basically, two things I want to say here. I want to speak to the parents that have adult children, and just saying what I feel like I need sometimes is just grace and flexibility. And even sometimes if somebody, I've talked to friends that have this too, I'll just tell you, it's not fun to spend Christmas driving around. You're just a Christmas UPS man. You're just let me bring my gifts for this family to this house, and we have to watch the time, and we have to leave at 2 because we have to be at this one at 5. That's really hard. And although it may suffice and make those groups of people happy, at the end of the day when I get in bed, it's I'm exhausted and I didn't really enjoy my day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what you're doing there is forcing it. You're forcing it into this schedule. It's very rigid. There's no flexibility to it. And when you force it, in my experience, is what happens is it's not genuine. And then all of a sudden, you may have the opposite effect, which is, I think, the opposite of what everybody's goal is. The opposite effect of, I don't really want to come to your Christmas. I don't really want to come to your Thanksgiving because it feels too forced. It feels like too much work. It feels like the expectations are way up here, and there's no way we're going to meet those expectations, let alone exceed them like I'd like to. And now all of a sudden, I think that's when the holidays get too stressful, and the joy is just kind of, it's there. You feel it. It's the holidays, so you do feel joyful. You are, grateful for your family and your health, but at the same time, it's kind of just
I would just
not
say,
good.
again, to the people with young or whatever, with adult kids, and then I'm going to speak on the other side after this, but I think it's important that there is just so much grace, so much love, and whatever they give you, I want to feel like that was enough.
Be grateful.
Yeah, like I want to feel like I hope that they know, and like this isn't me just speaking to my parents, but just in general, because I have so many friends in the same phase of life. We want to be at everything. It's not that we don't want to be there. It's just it's really hard with young kids to like pack up in the car and have all this different stuff and go here and go there, and kids are whining because like schedules are off and all of that. And it's easy to have this like passive aggressive mindset of just like you leave and you're like, I was there for a couple hours and I just felt like everybody was upset that I'm leaving, and like then it's like, I don't know. So I would just say give a lot of grace. And my family's done a really great job of, we recognize that, and with step siblings and stuff, like there's so many families to coordinate that we will sometimes, like if it works on Christmas, great. If it doesn't, we'll pick another day. And it just because it doesn't happen on the 25th doesn't mean that it's not special, doesn't mean that there's not joy filled. I would rather schedule it on a different day that works for most people so that we can have that without feeling rushed and everybody off to different places so that we can actually spend time together.
Yeah.
And that's what's worked for us super well.
Yeah. And just a note on that, as business owners, the clinic, we do a holiday party, we do a Christmas party, but we don't do it until like the second week in January. So business owners, that would be my challenge to you all is, what difference does it make if your staff gets together on December 20th or January 15th?
Well, I would say like survey your staff, because there is something festive and fun. Like I remember when I was working my corporate job, I did like that. It felt Christmassy and it was great. So if that works, yes. But if I would rather you do it in January and have all your staff be able to attend than do it in December where you only get 70%.
If your goal is staff getting together and doing team building and enjoying each other for the holidays and doing some sort of fun activity, you have a much higher success rate at doing it after the holidays.
Yeah.
We had 100% of our staff so far for our Christmas parties. 100% of the staff showed up both times.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it's so fun.
It works.
It's so fun.
And that's the goal, right?
Yeah. So now I want to flip it and I want to talk to the adult children.
That's us.
Yeah. I want you to also give your parents grace, because thinking as a mom and think of you with your children, the thought of having a Christmas day where like maybe your kids aren't there because they're, my two sons, if they're with their wives' families, like as a mom, that does suck.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Like that's tough. Like I want to be with my boys, but I also have to remember that like the Bible specifically calls them to leave their mother and father, to become one with their wife, and like to create their own family. And I feel like as a mom, it's our job to raise them. Like our whole goal as parents is we want kids that want to be with us when they don't have to be. After they turn 18, they go away to school, they get married. We want them to want to spend time with us, not because they have to, but because they genuinely want to. And I have to practice grace in those moments of like, no, like it is important that he goes with his wife's family and like that kind of stuff, and like being that example. So I would just say there needs to be grace on both sides. And I think if there is equal grace, like we talked about that in the episode that we talked about marriage and stuff, of that like unilateral bend where it's, you got to give grace and not expect.
You're not accepting the reciprocal on the other side.
Yeah, it's just everybody's ebbing and flowing. So I want to say Christmas is hard. We know that.
Communication is key.
Communication is key. And if you are early in your marriage or you're getting married, have these discussions now so that you can communicate that with your family. Because the other thing that's hard is it's confusing. If, let's say, for the first 5 years of your marriage, you just kind of like went with the pack, did what people said, you did this, you did that, like it wasn't what you wanted it to be. And then all of a sudden you decide one Christmas that like everything's going to change. That hard shift is going to be hard for your family to understand, where if you set those boundaries, and it will change. That's the other thing too. People have to allow change. Just because what we have set up right now, works. I would have thought forever I would have had Christmas Eve with my dad, Christmas with my family, but my dad's side doesn't do the Christmas Eve thing anymore. And sometimes my mom's is on Christmas Eve. Sometimes my mom's is on a different day. Like, it's okay for holidays to look different. It's okay for relationships to look different every year. It's okay. We don't have to live in this, like, what we thought. Every year can be its own thing. And I think that when we start living like that, a lot of the stress goes away if we're all in alignment.
Yeah. It's a lot easier said than done, but again, we always go back to doing the inconvenient, having these hard conversations, taking the time to do these kinds of things is when growth happens. And if you're not doing it, you're going to just be in this spiral and never catch up. Yeah. Which I think kind of leads us into our next kind of our topic of the day is...
Yeah. One thing too, before we move on, if you are someone, whether it's like divorced family or whatever, put in the comments what you do, what works for you. If you guys have other tips and things, like, we aren't saying that we have it perfect. And I do think we've learned a lot from other couples in our lives of all different ages. So we would love to hear feedback in the comments of how you guys feel about it. Do you resonate with what we're saying, like, as adults of young children or whatever?
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting conversation. I think that helps too. I've even been, since we've started this podcast, I've been reading comments on other people's podcasts, and it's unifying to read comments that you are sitting there thinking yourself, and you're just like, oh, there are other people that feel this way. And even on this topic of the men loneliness crisis, I was reading some comments, and I'm going to read one in a little bit from a podcast that I was listening to, and I was just listening to it, and the guy who commented was 34 years old, and just that I was just, whoa, I'm 34. That relates to me, and the dialogue that he shared afterwards was just really confirming that maybe you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And so,
like, you're listening to us have conversation, but we want you to be a part of the conversation.
Right.
So let's go into the lonely man topic.
Yeah. So
I'm going to let you kind of give a...
So I want to say this first, is that for whatever reason in this world, we've found ourselves to believe that if we say this, then this also must be true, which means that you are this. And I feel like the world of politics has done that. And I just want to say this episode is not intended for any political stance. And there is no intentions to say that if this problem exists and we care about this problem, that doesn't mean that we don't also care about this problem over here or the thousands of other problems that are going on. And so, because I've listened to some episodes I've listened to several episodes in the last couple weeks on the topic of men being lonely, and the response is varying from women. And even in some of our conversations we've had with people about this, is that we've just found that people have to be more open-minded about this. And that's where it does start right there.
Yeah.
Is that you have to be open-minded about these topics. And when somebody says there's a problem or they feel that there's a problem, they should at least be given the opportunity to be heard. And so one of the things that is combated...
Before we even get into what you're going to say about it.
Yeah.
Because when you brought it to me, I didn't quite know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, like, give just and this is from your perspective of how you've been feeling. Explain to us what you mean by lonely man. What does that mean?
Quite simply, I think that men are lonely and that they don't have other men in their lives that they can have a genuine, close relationship with, where they share vulnerability, where they can share their emotions. And men in general feel that they are supposed to be emotionless. Or if they show emotion, it's a sign of weakness, and women don't like that weakness. Therefore, I can't show it. And if I do show emotion and my woman likes that I show emotion, which I think you generally are appreciative when I show emotion, now I have to worry about other men judging me for showing emotion. And so I'm sitting here in this weird limbo of, I want to make friends. I also want to appease my wife. It feels more natural and way more weight off my shoulders to be emotional. I'm naturally an emotional man. But at the same time, society is telling me that men should be emotionless. They're supposed to be strong and leaders. And I think you definitely can be that while showing emotion. And I think that if you're not showing emotion and you're squashing down who you are and who you truly are, I don't think that you're being the leader that you truly, like, God's given potential to be.
So Are you lonely?
It's weird because in the sense of, am I lonely? Am I sitting here like twiddling my thumbs thinking, gosh, I wish somebody would text me? No, I'm not lonely like that. And I think that that's also kind of this, I don't know, the societal norm of what lonely is. It's this person sitting in their bedroom on a rainy day with no friends. But in the sense of, do I have that connection with other men that I think that we are called to have and that we're supposed to have? No, I don't. I don't have that. I've got some great friends, you know, and it was funny when we were talking about this once with Kayla and Griffin, and I said that. He was like, what the heck, man? And I was like, no,
screw you.
And maybe Griffin, if you're listening to this, maybe that's on me, maybe that's on Griffin, maybe that's on other men in my life, that we don't feel the ability to be vulnerable with each other. But ultimately, I guess this is just the call to action. Men, if there are men in your life that you think that could be, go for it.
Be intentional.
Take the shot. Be intentional. Women, go get coffee together. Women, go get their nails together.
Well, I was thinking about this and I'm like, okay, as like a female and like you're my husband, when you say like I'm lonely, I'm like, well, what the heck? Like, you have me. But then when I like really think about it, I'm like, okay, if I think about the really good girlfriends that I have that like I can share anything with, I have like a handful of them.
Yeah, I think that everybody should have.
Yeah, I do. It's not that I can't come to you with things, but there's some things that you just like want to chat with the girls about. And
right.
You should have that as men.
Right. And I think that men are very surface level with their conversation. They talk about sports. Did you catch the football game last week? Did you? Mm-hmm. And I think those are great things to talk about. I think they're great things to bring men together. But I think those things also kind of stand in the way of, or are a placeholder for us not getting to the next level of depth of, how are you doing with your wife? Yeah. I can't come to you and be like, yeah, I'm really struggling with Amanda. She doesn't do this, this, and this, or it drives me nuts. And like, if I say that to her, obviously she's listening to me, and that's like our way of working on those things. But it's not that, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you in this. Like, I've gone through things like this. I tried this with my wife, who is also very similar to your wife. See if you can gather some advice from another male who's gone through that. They don't necessarily have to be older than you. They might be younger than you. I think it's really good to mentor people below you and things like that. If
you're listening as a man, comment, and do you have like your core group? Like, not just like your bros that you text and like that kind of stuff, but do you have somebody that you share your struggles with? Do you have somebody that holds you accountable to things and, you know, brings you closer to God, or brings you closer to the things that, you know, are important to you, helps strengthen your, like, that iron sharpens iron. Like, yeah. Do you have that in your life?
I also want to say too, is that I think that many times you and I reference our faith, and I think that even people who are not Christians need this.
Oh, yeah.
And for you and I think that it's a women's Bible study that really brings you closer together. But somebody who's not a Christian, or I do think it's important that this stretches across all religions, and it's really important for men and women to have, I think, 1 to 3 close friends. I think that having 1 to 3 close friends is better than having 15 mediocre acquaintances.
What do you consider like a close friend? Like, what is that? What are you considering that?
So one of the things I was listening to was saying, who do you talk to on a weekly basis? Who do you talk to on a monthly basis? Who do you talk to on a quarterly basis? And who do you talk to yearly? I think that the 1 to 3 are the ones that you're talking to on a weekly basis. It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be a phone call every day. It's just somebody who you may go back and forth with.
But I feel like you have weekly. That.
No.
You have people that you talk to weekly.
I don't talk to other men weekly about vulnerable things at all.
So there is a caveat.
Yes. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was just like,
in depth,
defining.
A deep conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
So going back to one of the things that I hear about this, or the argument to squash this and saying, oh, shut up, you men, you have it easy, is I'm not negating what women go through and what they've gone through in the past forever until recent history women can vote, women can work, women are getting better at acquiring like executive level statuses.
Right.
It's still not perfect. I'm not saying it is at all. All I'm saying is that while that is still a very, very much a problem, this can be just as much of a problem. And if it's not addressed, it's going to become more of a problem. And I'm saying keep addressing the women's equality issues. I think that's great. I look at my mom specifically. She worked at Chrysler in the early 90s in the bowels of plant life, of just men saying things that men should not say to women, and watching her or hearing her stories of how it used to be to where it was. And she retired as an executive at Chrysler. It's really incredible, and as a testimony to women can do this. It is still an uphill battle for them, and I don't think that that's fair. It's definitely not fair, but we need to address this man thing too.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of the things that I've heard on this and just conversations with other people is that I think it's easy. I'm not saying that this is how I feel, but I do think that women dismiss this often because it's like, oh, poor you, like, if only I could only have the problems that you have in life. Like, that's kind of like this feminist mindset, of like, men haven't been through half the stuff we've been through. So like, suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah. You got to suffer another 30 years before.
Yeah. Which I just don't agree with at all. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just something about me or whatever. Like, I definitely resonate with feminism and like women should be equal and like all these things. But I don't think that because we went through that or any of whatever, that means that then you should suffer.
Right. Until I suffer this much, then I'm not getting your attention.
Yeah. Like I just don't understand that logic, and maybe someone that feels that way can explain it. But I don't think that anybody's feelings should ever be dismissed. I think that validating people's feelings, regardless if you think it's true, of being like, really, you feel that way? Like, why do you feel that way? Like, yeah, I want you to be the leader of our family. I want you to be tough. I want you to teach our boys how to be men and all that stuff. But to me, being a man is, owning where you slip up. It's apologizing. It's being sensitive. It's, peeling back those layers of just like, we're all human at the core.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've started digging into, because I'm a data person, I'm a scientist type person, I'm a veterinarian, and everything I do is pretty much data based. And so there's a couple stats that I just wanted to read off, and just maybe the people who are saying, oh, this isn't that big of a deal, maybe if they hear some of these stats, and again, when we read stats on this podcast, they may not be perfect. But bottom line is, take 1 or 2% off the top, or take 20% off the top, or reduce it by a certain amount. It's still an alarming statistic. Men die by suicide roughly 4 times more often than women. Men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women. That to me is a loud talking point of mental health issue. Men represent 95% of mass, or more. There's studies that say 95 to 98% of mass shooting criminals.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Men represent 75 to 80% of violent crime. And the most common thing that links all of these things together, reportedly, and now the U.S. Surgeon General has declared an epidemic of loneliness in the world in general for people. But the most things that all these men have in common is a life of isolation and lack of connectivity to peers. I'm not saying that if you don't get in a church group, you're about to be a mass shooter. Obviously, that's not the case. I think that there's a lot more, and that's a much more complex conversation. But I think that it's interesting that suicide rates and violent crime, men are overrepresented in those categories. 2 very detrimental things. And we're just sitting here going, suck it up, men. You're fine. Toughen up. Don't be emotional. I heard one person say on a podcast episode that a male crying gives them the ick.
Yeah, that's I can't comprehend that. I don't understand that.
Like that a man crying gives you the ick?
Yeah, just like, why shouldn't you have emotions? Like, I don't know. That makes me sad.
Yeah, it's this weird thing. And then also, it's generally accepted that loneliness increases the risk of, obviously, depression, heart disease, and early death. Mm-hmm. I think there's a problem with loneliness. And I think that regardless, you can take male, female out of the picture, is that if you're not finding yourself in a group that you belong to, we should start working on it.
Well, I do believe that you are who you hang out with. I believe that statement through and through. If I look back in all the seasons of my life, the people that I was closest to, you just become like them. You're like-minded. You do the same things. You can tell when, kids get involved in the wrong group of friends at school and start acting out and all that. So if you really look at your life, one, if you're not surrounded by anybody, then I could see how you could feel lost, with no direction, without purpose. Like, there's nobody that is that mirror around you that's like reflecting yourself back at you. You can get so far from who you really even are at the core. I think when you don't have that, you don't have people saying like, hey, I noticed you've been kind of doing this or that. Like, we're good at doing that for each other, of like being that mirror of like, hey, I don't know if you really know how that sounded or how that came across or your tone or whatever with the kids. Like, we need that to be able to bounce off each other. So I could see how it could be extremely difficult if you weren't married and you were a young adult male with not a lot of friends, just kind of wandering through life. I could see how that could be a really slippery slope to not great things. And it's sad. But I think too, it's so funny because I've listened to so many things on this. I've had personal conversations about this. This topic gives me, like, I feel like eggshell, kind of like walking on it, because I know what other people's perspectives are, and I feel like some of them are so far one way.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing with this podcast that I was like, I am so afraid of that, and this whole cancel culture and like all these things and people twisting our thoughts or what we're saying. But we had said when we started this, like, we will be honest to our core and we will have conversations that we would have on or off camera. I'm not going to censor the things or the way that I feel. And I know that there's people that could take this and be like, oh, poor you. Your life is so hard. Like, you look like, you have a business and you're doing all this stuff. Like, you're married, you have beautiful kids. Like, I could see how somebody could look at this and be like, are you freaking kidding me right now? But it's like, if you take away all the layers of all that stuff, like, nobody is really fully thriving. That's the whole point of this, being like mostly thriving. And sometimes it's like, I'm not thriving.
Yeah, I think one of the problems with the people that you're speaking on are, it's this general thought process that success equals being seen, and men want to be seen. Mm-hmm. And basically the world and people have associated being seen with being famous, having a nice house, having a lot of money, climbing the corporate ladder, having a successful business, and all those things are really, really great. And I wouldn't trade them for anything. I would trade them for one thing, and it would be to have relationships with people. Mm-hmm. Being seen is getting together with a group of guys who truly know you, a group of women who truly know you, and you can be vulnerable with them. And when you do that, the level of fulfillment that you get is going to be far, far greater than any success that you could ever taste.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
Yeah, I peeled that from Jay Shetty's podcast. It's really, really good. It's a great episode. You should listen to it. He just put it out. And I thought it was very, very interesting to talk about the society's definition of being seen is linked with success. Mm-hmm. But I would challenge that. And this is what they were challenging and saying, no, that is great. Do those things. But success is more defined by the relationships that you've developed by being a good human, by helping people, being a kind person, being vulnerable to people, and building those relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather have 3 people know me than like 100 people see me.
Definitely.
Like, I want to feel truly known. Like, that's the core of all the relationships that I want to build, is like, I want people to truly know me and know my heart and know my character, and it be reciprocated. Like, I also want to know them.
Which is crazy for you to say, because you're sitting here with over 1 million followers on social media who, yeah, they know you for what you do, but the fulfillment that you get from a friendship like Kayla, like Carly, like your small groups, I don't think that it touches the fulfillment that you've gotten out of Instagram, which has been great.
Yeah.
We live the life we live because of that.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that I've always found that I've kind of been digging into is that we were kind of talking about how women have, let's go get a coffee, let's go get our nails done. They've got activities that women do. And men, there's no reason men can't do those things. I'm not saying I'm going to get a pedicure tomorrow with a couple guys, but I mean, if they wanted to, I would.
Right.
But at the end of the day, men basically relied on organized sports or organized clubs or organized activities all throughout their lives, whether it be football or baseball, hockey, all these organized events. When I was a kid, I was a gymnast, and so 4 to 5 days a week for 3 to 4 hour periods, I would go, and there were my friends right there, planned out right in front of me. It took zero thought. They're right there. All the way through high school. And then college happens and you join a fraternity, or I did flight crew or whatever club, or still in an organized sport. Again, there's your guys right there. And then I think and for me, I'm finding that ages 30 to maybe 45, there is no organized thing for men.
It's never thought about that.
It's very, very hard. For instance, at our church, I'm in 2 men's groups because I'm trying to actively pursue this. I'm trying to challenge myself and do the inconvenient. 6:30 a.m. on a Tuesday morning.
Well, and what's funny is you guys don't know TJ as well yet. He is like the definition of that Drake song that's like, no new friends. Like, we always joke.
That's
like,
how I was, yeah.
I know. And TJ was just like, I don't need friends. I don't want friends. Like, I don't, like,
because there's so much work.
Yeah. Right.
Because there's so much work.
And so I'm only saying this because for him to be joining 2 different groups, being super intentional with men in his life, like, he's on a journey.
Well, I did this, so I was like, one of the things that I was wanting to do was do a Bible study. And it was, so I tried to get a group together, couldn't find anybody. And so I was like, well, screw it. I'm just going to do this myself. And it's all about being authentic man. It's called Authentic Manhood. And in the first video of the Bible study, there go, you need to do this with a group of men. And I'm like,
excuse me, where do I find those?
Yeah. And so, okay, fast forward. I join a group I do a Bible study Tuesday morning, 6:30 a.m. Again, doing the inconvenient, getting up and going in the freezing cold, do a Bible study at 6:30 a.m. I get there and it's great. We're reading through the Bible. But the average age in that room has got to be 56 years old. So I go, okay, well, I'll join one at night. Maybe the guys my age can't do the 6 a.m. I'll join one at night, 7 p.m. Again, great group. Love doing it. I'm actually doing it with my dad, which is really fun, really cool. Still, the average age in that room cannot be younger than 55.
Yeah,
Where are the men who are 30 to 45 years old? I think that they are lonely. They don't want to step out. They don't want to be vulnerable. Or they do, and there's just no space for them to do it.
Yeah, I also think it's a hard season of life because usually in that age bracket, you're in the thick of raising kids. And I think it's easy for men and women to be so in on that they don't allow space for anything else because that's all they have to give, you know? But I do think it's important, and I think it's funny how God works, that when you do make that intentional time, even though it feels like you don't have the time for it, it feels like it's super inconvenient and just like you could be giving your time to other things or you don't have the time to give to it. It's funny how he shows up in those moments of like making the most of that time.
Yeah, I certainly am taking things away from the Bible studies, and I think they're really great. And I'm just I'm waiting for that click to happen. But I'm putting myself out there. I'm putting it out there saying, you know, Jesus, if this is what you are intending me to do, or if I'm feeling lonely, what do I do? And I think he's pretty clearly said to me, it's this men's loneliness issue we need to focus on. That's what you're experiencing. And if you don't put yourself out there, it'll never happen. And so that's what I'm doing. And so, I mean, even if like somebody's listening to this, now we have like 8% men listeners on this podcast, but like if people are in this area,
but they know that women that are listening know that their husbands struggle with this.
I'm down. Like, let's get a movement started. Let's do it. Yeah.
Maybe too, like, just throwing it out there. If you're local, like Oakland County, like maybe there's like a men's.
Yeah. Maybe group. I need to be invited. Invite me, please.
Invite TJ to your group, or maybe you guys start a group.
Yeah. I don't know. But I do think that there's a point to that too, is that I think a lot of women, and even when I brought it up to you, is that
we're in Michigan, by the way. I don't know if we've ever said that for people that are listening.
Yeah. But I brought it up to you. I just said, I do have this level of guilt of if I want to go do something just for me or just with some men, I don't feel that that's as accepted by you. And you've been very supportive of me doing this ever since we talked about that.
Yeah.
But I do think that a lot of men feel that way. And so my challenge to women and wives or girlfriends, fiancés, whatever it is, reach out to your man and ask him, who are your 1 to 3? Who are your 1 to 3 guys that will get up at 3 a.m. if they called and would be there to help them? If you're struggling with something, you're in a crisis, whatever it is, do they have 1 to 3? And my goal right now is developing the 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And I would venture to guess that half of the men in this world do not have the 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Maybe they do.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a lower, that's just my stat that I'm throwing out there.
But and maybe it's too, it's like, maybe you do have that person, but like life has just like gotten in the way a little bit, and you've distanced a little bit just because it's busy and work and all these things. And maybe that just means that this week you're just going to like make one intentional phone call, send one intentional text message of just like checking in on them, or setting a plan of when you're going to see them next. Like, it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, we should get together. I feel like women do that a lot. Like, oh yeah, text me. And then you just never do it. Never amounts to anything. So maybe my challenge, men and women, there's got to be a person that's been on your heart that you've been listening this whole time. Or maybe there's not. And if there's not a person that you could, like, if I say right now, like, who's the one person in your life that you feel like you need to connect with right now? Whoever that person is, maybe pause right now and just send them a text. Hey, I'm thinking of you. Like, literally, that's it. And if you can't think of a person, then maybe that's a sign that, maybe I do need to, put myself out there a little bit more, or
maybe you're trending towards loneliness.
Yeah. And I think it's important to be honest about it and be vocal. I know that, like TJ was saying, he didn't share it for a long time because I think he was still internally processing it too, but it's better to be vocal about it and how you're feeling. And I know that you've said this, like, as a man, it's hard to be like, I feel lonely. Like, that's a hard thing to bring up. The world makes you seem like you have to have everything together all the time, taking care of everyone.
Well, especially men. We're supposed to be the provider. We're supposed to be the rock. We're supposed to be this thing that's so stable in a storm. But at the same time, it doesn't make us not vulnerable or prone to the storms ourselves and our boat getting rocked sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm very good at weathering storms of other people, and that feels really good to be able to do that. But at the same time, I can get so busy in weathering those storms that I don't pay attention to the storm that I'm in personally. And if you stop ignoring that, next thing you know, you're in a storm that is spiraling out of control. And I don't feel like I'm spiraling out of control, but I think that some probably are or are on the verge of it. And if we don't do anything about it, these stats that I read earlier, some of them, I don't know how they could get worse, but they are going to get worse.
Yeah, I think it's important when you're trying to build this like brotherhood of men that are building each other up and all this stuff, that you just like make a plan. It's easy to be like, yeah, I want these things, but it's like if you're just going about your day to day and you haven't met those people yet, or you haven't made the space for it, nothing's going to change. And so for you, it was like signing up for a Bible study or signing up for a small group or whatever. And if you're not a church person, like, that's fine too. Like, maybe for you that looks different. Maybe it's going to the happy hour for your work that they do so that you can meet like a different coworker that maybe is going to bring value to your life. Like I do believe, whether you're religious or not, I believe that God does put those people in our paths that we're supposed to meet. But I wonder how many of those people have been placed in my path that I just missed the opportunity on. You know, we were talking about this at my small group last week of, let's say like you get to heaven and they're like walking around and they're showing you, you know, welcome, and showing you all the stuff, and they take you to this room and there's this room full of boxes. And then on the top shelf, there's one that says Amanda, and I'm like, oh, what's in there? And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. And I'm like, no, I want to see it. And when they give me the box, it's like, these are all the things that God had planned for you that you missed, you know? Can you imagine that?
Yeesh.
And that just, it makes you want to live so different. It's like, what if there was a box and it was like, the people that are in there would have been like your ride or die, like the most fulfilling friendships ever. And you just missed it because you didn't.
Yeah, they talked about that at church a couple weeks ago,
didn't get to your workout class 5 minutes early to say hi to someone, and maybe that person, you know, you spark a connection, like.
Or you got there early and you saw them and you knew you should say hi to them, or
right.
This person looks like they need a friend, and you didn't.
Yeah.
That person, could have changed their life. They're talking about the power of invite, or the power of, you know, stepping up and showing up. I think ultimately friendship and fellowship is not a passive thing. It doesn't just happen. It's a skill. It requires intentionality. It requires vulnerability, and it requires a level of discipline to do those things. I think that one thing that we all need to do is just be the kind person.
Yeah.
Be a kind person. Be more of a value add to society than a value suck.
Yeah.
And the way that you add value is being kindness and helping people. And I think that is an attractive characteristic that brings friends in. And when people see you doing things, I was listening to one of those podcasts and the guy was like, if I see like an older couple that looks like they're just thriving and doing really well, I'll walk up to him and be like, hey, you look good. You're doing a good job. That's it.
Well, and we've had people do that to us where they're like somebody came over to our table once and was like, oh my God, like cherish these moments with your boys. Like you guys are such a cute family. Like that like made us glow. Yeah. And that took 2 seconds for them to say that. So like if you see someone, like give them a compliment.
Because in that moment, we could have been like having the worst dinner ever with our boys. They were being nuisances and just being crazy at a dinner table. And if somebody comes over and goes, I've been there. I really miss that. And what you guys are doing, you're doing a good job. Yeah. Whoa. That feels good.
It does feel good. And it feels good to do that.
That's that being seen thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't, wow, you look like you make a lot of money. Yeah. Wow, that car's really nice. Wow, that business is doing well. Nothing mentioned there. What was mentioned was, you're doing a good job being a good human. That feels good. Yeah. Nothing feels better than that.
Yeah. So maybe that's another like little encouragement for the week, or a little task that I'll give you. And I'm going to do this too. But before the next podcast episode, let's both agree that we're going to do this, and you guys do it too.
I'm in.
I'm going to pick on a time where I would maybe just like sit at Starbucks and be on my phone, like working and doing all this stuff. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to happen there at the grocery store, but I'm just going to be intentional about complimenting someone or stepping out in that kind of a way, acknowledging something that I see that shows someone that like, I didn't just see them as I walked by with my eyes, but like I saw through it and I saw them for real. Yeah. I'm going to do that.
I love that. I think also the challenge is get involved with something. And the next week is kind of fast, but before Thanksgiving, get signed up for something.
That's still kind of fast.
Well, but what I've found is a lot of groups take breaks around the holidays. So start looking for what you're going to do in January. Get your plan for January. It's crazy to think of 2026 is right around the corner. It's less than 2 months away. But let 2026 be a year of intentionality, vulnerability, and fellowship.
Well, and two, like it doesn't have to be an organized group like he's saying. Like, yes, if you feel called to a small group or Bible study, but it also could just be intentionally getting together with someone.
Dude, join a gym. Yeah. Join a gym and do a workout class once a week. Yeah. It's impossible to go to workout class once a week without feeling convicted of, oh, I see that person over there. I should interact with them. Or I think I have something in common with them. And there's your person to go, hey, you're killing it. Yeah. You show up every Tuesday like I do.
Or even like your shirt. Like I'm sure there's people watching that know what that shirt is. It's from Jocko. if you saw someone at the grocery store and you'd be like, hey man, I love Jocko, I listen to him too. Like just one connection point. Or like you got a Red Wings hat on, like, oh yeah, like we have tickets, we love the Red Wings, like do you go to games? Like just more intentional conversation. When I was at Starbucks the other day, I watched these two people. I was just working and he sneezed. She said, bless you. That's where it would have stopped for me. Then he said, yeah, my allergies are so bad right now. Again, I would have said, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, hope you feel better. Allegra. Yeah. But instead she said, what are your allergies? They talked for 20 minutes. They got into like all kinds of things.
It's like my grandma.
Yeah. But like, I'm not going to I don't have time to have a 20-minute conversation like that. But like,
but that kindness.
She genuinely cared.
I
would have just been like, bless you. Like, she genuinely cared and saw him. He had the sniffles.
Wow, you should try some Vicks Vapor Rub. Let me go get it for you. I'll buy it.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, they were talking about not even things related to allergies, but it's just funny, like.
But that's how it starts.
And now I bet she'll run into him there again and be like, hey. And now, like, there's I don't know. Whatever.
That's beautiful. Like, that is really beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's how it starts.
It does.
Wow.
Okay, so those are ending. These are our points for you. Think of who those 1 to 3 might be, men and women. Give grace to the men in your life and check on them. Ask your husband, sit down intentionally and ask him, how are you actually doing? What are things that you're struggling with right now? And like, how can we help you to be better?
They are struggling with something.
Yeah.
We all are.
It's also important as a wife who has had to work on this and still is working on this to be a safe place that they want to bring their struggles to, because it's easy for, and we've talked about this, for TJ to feel like, I don't want to bring this to you because I don't want it to like start this argument, and not that I'm like not going to be supportive or hear you, but you have to be like a soft place for people to land that do have struggles, or they will never bring them to you.
And be ready, because this is a not natural thing, and most men don't know how to express this well. I've been getting better at it, but initially it might come off harsh, brash, and maybe a little bit offensive to you, but know that that is a part of the process.
Yeah.
If you meet their harshness and brashness, guess what? They're not bringing it up again.
Yeah.
They're not. There's no way, because that vulnerability that they felt like they just expressed was squashed. All right. So end of the day, we've given you some action steps. Hit us in the comments. Maybe if you've done those steps, hit it with just a done. Just let us know. Like, are people feeling this? I know I am. I'm going to work on it this week. I'm really excited about it. If you're local to the area and want to get something together, or feel like your man needs something to go to, you can DM me on my Instagram or Mostly Thrivings, and maybe we'll get something together. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But like, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down. I don't have time, but I'm down.
Yeah. I'm also so excited for next week. We have our first in-studio guest. Don't say who it is. We have our first in-studio guests, plural. There's 2 people coming in. I know you know who they are. I'm so excited for them to be our first guests, and we have so much to talk about, and I'm so excited.
That's going to be fun.
The only hint I'll give you is that...
No hints.
Okay.
No hints. Let them guess.
Okay.
Let them guess. I'm excited too.
It's going to be so
We haven't
good,
seen them in a while, too.
I know, we haven't seen them in a while. So it's going to be fun. But you guys can listen on all major podcast streaming platforms: Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts. What's the other one? There's one more. I don't know. Anywhere you get your podcast, or you can watch, if you want to watch the video, on YouTube or Spotify. So
comments, subscribe. It helps us a lot.
Ooh, that got me so excited for next week.
Cool.
Okay.
We'll see you then.
Okay, bye.